Thank you for listening to the 235th ever episode of the Missouri Sports Podcast, brought to you by 106 Apparel and recording from the Revel Advertising Studio in beautiful Springfield, Missouri. I'm one of your hosts, Cameron Albert, alongside my good friend and fellow Mizzou fan, Kyle DeVries. How you doing today, Kyle?
Doing great as always, Cameron. How about you?
Kyle, I could barely see you over there.
Yeah, wearing camo. Yeah, good one.
Thanks. Kyle, how you feeling? Missouri Tiger basketball doing well? Any other sports going on right now?
Some people watch Battlehawks football.
Okay.
I personally haven't myself. I watched some highlights. I watched a little bit of the NFL Combine this past week.
How are the prospects looking?
Oh, they're looking great, looking crisp, and just yeah.
Are the Chiefs going to draft a wide receiver?
It's very possible. It kind of depends on where some of those guys fall, but obviously at the end of the first, it's very possible.
Who do you like? Who do you like as a wide receiver for the Chiefs to draft?
I don't think Jackson Smith and Jigba will make it that late, but they could take a stab at Quentin Johnson or Jordan Addison, the two guys that might be in that range at the end of the first, potentially.
I'm interested to see where Jalen Hyatt ends up. I feel like he's an intriguing pro prospect.
Yeah. The speed guy from Tennessee.
Yeah. He torched Mizzou.
He sure did.
Yeah.
But he did that to basically everybody, so it's okay.
Did you see the offensive lineman that had a torn ACL and then came back out and had the most reps? He tore his ACL. Did you see this? In a drill at the combine. What? Came back out in a knee brace and did the most reps on the bench press of anybody up to that point.
Wow. Okay.
He's a stud.
Cameron's not impressed.
I thought you were going to say he ran the 3-cone drill after that.
No. Within reason, it was amazing.
Yeah.
No, I mean, good on him for doing that.
Toughed it out.
Just a real tough cookie.
He did 38 reps more than I would be able to do.
38 more than I'd be able to do.
Yep. Okay, so what all are we going to talk about this week? We are going to kind of do a little summary of the regular season, and I have a surprise for Kyle. I'm going to repeat back some of your preseason predictions to you, see how you fared there. And we're going to talk about the SEC tournament. We're going to talk bracketology, all of that good stuff. Before we get into all that, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, leave us a review wherever you listen to us, and of course you can support us directly on Patreon, patreon.com/Missouri Sports Pod. So it feels like it's been a while. Mizzou basketball finished out the regular season with a win over Ole Miss. I don't know how much we want to talk about that game specifically because it feels like everything since then is way more important. But it was good to finish out the season with a win, and that game to me felt like almost like a microcosm of Mizzou's entire season, where it was a little touch and go, but they won in kind of an unorthodox way and won by exactly how many points they were supposed to win by.
Yeah, just winning by outscoring the other team, basically. Yeah. Not like playing great defense, just kind of trying to outgun the other team and doing it well in close games.
Yeah, so to speak to how little defense was played in this game, Ole Miss shot 70% from two, not as well from three, 23%. Missouri shot 71% from two and 30% from three. So just like mirror image of each other, Missouri just performing a little bit better. And Missouri only lost the rebounding battle by 3 and won the turnover battle by 5. So that equals a win. And I feel like that's like Mizzou's entire season is in the games you're supposed to win by exactly how many you're supposed to win by, and usually give up way too many points. And then the games that they were on paper supposed to lose
just get blown out.
A lot of time just get absolutely blown out.
Yep.
So that leads us to where we are now. Noah Carter was the KenPom MVP in the Ole Miss game. 17 points in 27 minutes of action. He looked really good. Golston, 15 points. Demoy Hodge, 14. And Kobe Brown, 17. So balanced attack, scored 82 points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Noah Carter's kind of improved his inside game in the last few games. It seems like he's been able to be pretty efficient from two. And I think at times this year it's felt like his only offensive option is some pick and pop three where he just kind of gets open and launches from deep. So it's good to see him like finishing well, around the rim and putting some dunks down as well. Mm-hmm. So I think that was good for us for sure.
And Demoy Hodge with 5 steals. So he's just like putting that single season steals record further out of reach. So Missouri ends the season with a record of 23-8, 11-7 in conference play. Most regular season wins since the 2013-14 season, and they also had 23 wins. Most conference wins since the 12-13 season, where they also had 11 wins. If you want to go back to a season that surpassed either one of those numbers, it's the 2012 Frank Haith's first year 2-seed Mizzou basketball team. So arguably the best season, tied for the best season since that incredible regular season run a long time ago. Mm-hmm. And just right off the top of my head, it took a while for it to sink in that Dennis Gates just came to town year one, completely rebuilds the roster, goes 23-8 in the regular season.
Yeah, like pretty underwhelming roster on paper too. Like coming into the year, we had like kind of the centerpiece Kobe Brown returning, who really at this point in his career hadn't done anything too spectacular, at least not consistently, and kind of a bunch of like mid-major guys.
Yeah,
and like okay, well, let's see what they can do. I don't think anybody would have ever predicted something like this.
And preseason, the only way you could come up with anything like this result would be like Isaiah Mosley also being an all-SEC type player.
Yeah.
You would have expected him and Kobe Brown to be like both second-team all-SEC.
Yeah, I think if you would have told us before the season that Missouri's going to go 23-8, we're thinking, oh my God, Isaiah Mosley must be averaging 30 a game. Because that's the only thing that would have made sense.
Yeah.
I think Hodge has been a lot better than we thought. Obviously, Kobe Brown, a lot better than what we thought.
More consistent than he had ever been before, and his three-point shooting kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Kobe Brown finished the regular season number 1 in the SEC in three-point field goal percentage. Like 40th in the country.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think we would have seen that coming.
No. Kobe Brown does get first team all SEC. Dennis Gates got SEC Coach of the Year by USA Today. Kobe was also first team voted by the coaches. And Dennis Gates was not Coach of the Year anywhere else that I saw. And actually, Jerry Stackhouse was co-SEC Coach of the Year.
Yeah.
Not exactly sure how that works.
What was that? Was that like the official SEC one? Like who? I saw that as well. It was like Coach of the Year with Buzz Williams and Jerry Stackhouse.
Yeah, I didn't really understand that.
That was weird.
I'm going to figure out what that officially was. But
yeah. I mean, Jerry Stackhouse is what, in year 3 or 4?
4, I think.
At Vanderbilt. I think they might have actually had a better record last year than they have this year. I mean, yeah, Vanderbilt's had a really good conference season, but
they have to win. They're not going to make the NCAA tournament.
No, they had a terrible non-conference season.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bizarre.
I guess it was the league coaches
really
is who voted on that one.
I mean, how does that even happen? Just because Kobe Brown was coming back or something, they thought that was just too easy or something?
I don't know. It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't.
But it doesn't really matter. He got the USA Today SEC Coach of the Year award. One thing I wanted to talk about with Coach Gates in particular, and actually the color commentator during the Ole Miss game touched on it a bit, and it was just how he was able to come in and establish his culture within the program. And obviously a lot of that has to do with bringing in guys from Cleveland State. And even saying that, a lot of it has to do with bringing in, I think, Trey Gomillion. I think he probably more than anybody else was like, if you want Dennis Gates' coaching culture personified, I think it's Trey Gomillion.
Yeah.
And I would say that most of the team, their ability to have such a successful season shows how much they bought into that culture and bought into what Coach Gates was offering, and his ability to get the most out of them and their willingness to just go all in on this season results in better performance than we would have predicted.
Yeah, I think that's how it would have to be. Consider, like we said, not super exciting team on paper. Like none of these guys are coming in with great recruiting prowess or a super celebrated college experience or anything like that so far. But a bunch of guys who do have experience and a willingness to kind of buy into whatever the coach is doing. And I think that's pretty much the only way it could have happened. And I think that's exactly what did happen, though. A lot of high character guys.
Did you see? I'm sure you saw. Everybody saw. Isaiah Mosley walked for senior day and had his I think it was his trainer, his like personal basketball trainer was there with him, but no family members, and Coach Gates and the AD Desiree Reed Francois walked him through, like arm in arm, walked him through the senior day ceremony. Yeah. And just that clip was kind of going viral after the fact. And I think that just shows, I mean, I think for me personally, that put me at ease with whatever has been going on all season long, to see Mosley there in the Mizzou gear, going through the senior day process, and the AD and the head coach right there next to him, the players supporting him getting a nice ovation from the crowd. That made me not care about any of the other stuff all season long. And I will admit, winning 23 games helped that as well.
Yeah.
But overall, even though we may never know what happened to result in him not playing very many games this year, seeing that unfold just kind of put my mind at ease, and I don't have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah. Clearly indicative of somebody who's dealing with some stuff outside of basketball, and hopefully everything works out there.
So I was talking about our preseason predictions and stuff. We said that the ceiling for this Mizzou team was probably 5th in the SEC. Fairly accurate, I would say. It took a little bit of help and came down to the last day of games for Mizzou to lock up the 4 seed. We had a pretty big swing from best case scenario to worst. We kind of figured that the worst case scenario was about what the media predicted in the preseason, which was 11th in the conference. And we said that was probably as bad as it could get, and it wouldn't be the end of the world if that's what happened. So for Mizzou to not only be at the top end of what we expected, but actually surpass it.
Yeah, I feel like that the floor was probably a pretty accurate guess from us, because there was 3 pretty bad teams in the SEC this year, South Carolina, LSU, and Ole Miss, where, yeah, honestly, at the floor, this team probably is still better than those 3 teams. So that puts them at 11, if that were to be what happened.
And then I also thought that this was kind of funny. You actually, I have to give you credit here, because you predicted, or you kind of outlined a scenario where Arkansas would not live up to expectations. And we've kind of touched on that throughout the season, since that is what came to pass. But you specifically said that, it was kind of the makeup of a team that could disappoint, because a lot of their hype was based on recruiting rankings, and you're going to be relying on a lot of freshmen and a lot of just kind of tall forwards who none of them are known for like shooting the ball well from outside. And we've seen, you mentioned seeing Kentucky kind of roll with that approach recently and it not work well for them. So I thought that was
like all guys that'll be good in the NBA potentially,
Yes.
but yeah, you in college basketball especially, you've got to have good guard play where the ball is not sticking and is moving around, and have kind of a floor general that knows what they're doing. I think typically some of the best teams we see in college basketball always have at least one of those kind of guards, and I don't know that you can say Arkansas really has that.
No, I mean, Black has kind of had to take on that role, and I honestly, he's really impressed me all season long. But he turns the ball over too much and isn't the best shooter from outside. And obviously they were missing Nick Smith for a lot of that. But it was just funny listening to our preseason episode back and how much emphasis we put on Isaiah Mosley for Mizzou and also Trevin Brazil playing for Arkansas.
We were still really hurt by that.
Yeah, and both of those things did not factor into the season very much at all. Any other thoughts for the regular season coming to an end? I feel like after Mizzou is completely done playing games, we'll kind of go back through and relive some of the best moments and kind of break down the performances from the whole team. But overall, I mean, it's thrilling.
Feels good.
Yeah. New coach, year one, just blowing away everybody's expectations. One of the best teams on paper as far as wins and losses in 10 years plus. It's awesome.
Makes you feel good about what's to come as well.
Yeah. Let's see here. So, looking at the SEC tournament, Missouri gets the 4 seed and most likely will play Tennessee. Now, it's possible that the winner of Ole Miss, South Carolina, do I have that matchup right? It's possible that one of those teams could upset Tennessee. What do we actually want to happen there?
I mean, I think that's probably what you want. You want to not have to play Tennessee in the quarters, but it's going to happen. And so I guess, in that scenario, if somehow we're playing a Ole Miss or something in the quarterfinals, then yeah, pretty good shot at making the semis, and you've got a game against Alabama most likely. But I guess the good thing about playing you're guaranteed one singular game against a good team in Tennessee is you can't walk out of the tournament with a bad loss.
True.
So which is pretty much the only thing that can go wrong at this point. I think Missouri is obviously a tournament lock.
Yeah.
Just playing for the best seeding possible. I think they're kind of on that 6-7 line right now. So that could that first game loss could set you back a seed line. So especially if it's against Ole Miss or something. But I don't know. I don't think it makes a huge difference, and I don't think that we need to even really think about playing anyone other than Tennessee at this point.
So Tennessee, still, if you can believe it, number 5 in KenPom. Now that they don't have Zakai Ziegler, he tore his ACL. That really sucks for him, but he was such a huge part of their success this year, and we actually saw that in the first matchup where he fouled out early, not super early, but early enough to make a difference. And Mizzou was able to win that game. I think if he doesn't commit that foul, Tennessee probably wins that game.
Yep.
And so without him, they're a slightly different team. Vescovi has to take on more of that distributor point guard role, and he's just not as good as Ziegler. I mean, he's
great off the ball, but
definitely
he needs to be in that role. And yeah, if he's having to kind of do both things at once, it's easier to shut him down.
Yeah, and he's going to be less effective on defense if he's having to do more on offense. So that's definitely helpful. They just lost to Auburn 79-70 the last game of the regular season. That's the only reason we're in this situation. Yeah. So, but it is interesting that things wouldn't be all that different if we were the 5 seed. We would just have to play Ole Miss first.
Yeah, basically the only thing about being a 5 seed is you just risk a bad loss.
Yeah.
You're just playing a team that if you lost to them, it would be noticeably bad.
Yeah.
And with this, and I guess, I don't know, it's like you can I feel like you can look at it both ways, where if you play a game, if you have to play somebody, are you tired the next day against the 4 seed? Or is it actually an advantage because you've played a game in the environment that you're going to play a tougher game in?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, since you bring it up, actually, I do have some statistics.
Wow.
In this regard. I went back. I looked at the last 10 games, 10 SEC tournaments. The 4 seed is 7-3 in their first game in the SEC tournament in the last 10 years. 6 of those games were against the 5 seed. They were 4-2 against the 5 seed.
I think I know the one time it wasn't against the 5 seed.
They've had 4 games against either the 12 or 13 seed. And the 4 seed is 13-1 in those games. In 2015, the 13 seed Auburn beat 4 seed LSU. But I think you were talking about...
Yeah, I think I misunderstood you, but yes.
In 2018, the 12 seed Georgia beat the 5 seed Missouri, but Kentucky took care of Georgia in the quarterfinals.
Did. Yeah, I bet they did.
So the 4 seed, historically, 7-3 in the last 10 seasons. So there apparently is
good historical odds.
Enough of a gap there, or something about not playing the night before that helps, apparently. But I think you got some information about the Missouri Tiger basketball program.
Yeah.
That's less rosy.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all know it at this point. Like, postseason play for the Missouri basketball team in the last decade has kind of been a house of horrors for sure. But I think I will hopefully bring this to a positive spin where if we are to make a little bit of a run here, it'll just show how big of an impact that will make on just like the total outlook that we've had in the last 10 years or so. But yeah, I want to quickly run through Missouri's SEC tournament history just from the first year they were in the SEC. It's not very good, and they've never made it past the quarterfinals before. So
we're at least in the quarterfinals.
We are in the quarterfinals right now. So all we have to do is win one game, and we're farther than we've ever been in the SEC tournament, which is wild.
Wow.
But anyways, okay, so in 2013, our first season, we were the 6th seed. We won our first game, and then we lost in the quarterfinals to Ole Miss with Marshall Henderson, and they went on to win the SEC tournament that year. I think they won a few games in the NCAA tournament as well.
He was nuts that year. He was multiple ways.
Quite literally nuts, yes. In 2014, we were the 8th seed. We, again, won in the second round, and then we lost in the quarterfinals to Florida, who then also went on to win the SEC tournament.
What can you do?
What can you do? We just run into good teams, run into buzzsaws.
Yeah.
In 2015, we were the number 14 seed out of 14, and we lost in the play-in round.
Fun times.
Fun times that was. In 2016, maybe even worse, we were also the 14 seed, and we didn't even play because we had a postseason ban. Thank you, Frank Haith, and fake internships.
We were postseason ban, but if we had been eligible, we would have been the 14 seed
and lost in the play-in round probably.
Yeah.
Okay, so it gets
what was going on with Mizzou basketball back then?
I don't know. I don't remember it. In 2017, we were once again the 14 seed. So 3 years in a row, we were the very last seed. We actually did win a game that year in the tournament. That was the Kevin Puryear buzzer beater against Auburn. And then we lost in the second round to Ole Miss.
Yeah, Kim Anderson already knew he wasn't coming back, and had to go coach another game against Auburn.
He's like yelling expletives as he's like walking off the court.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think that was a man that knew he was not returning.
Yeah.
Okay, 2018. Yes, we just talked about it. We were the 5 seed, just barely missed the double bye.
Just brought in a new team.
Just completely new squad
for the postseason.
Yeah, just throw some new guys out there. That was a really bizarre game. Just everything about it was weird. We lost to Georgia, had a chance to win, and we did not. So that was a second round exit. In 2019, we were the 12 seed. We won our first game in the play-in game, and then we lost to Auburn in the second round. Auburn went on to win the SEC tournament that year. In 2020, the tournament was canceled, so we did not play. And in 2021, we were the 7 seed. We won our first game in the second round, and then we lost to Arkansas in the quarterfinals. And then last year, we were the 12 seed, and we won our first game, and then lost to LSU in the second round. So just a whole lot of losing in the second round quarterfinals area. Like I said, so in the play-in games,
Just doing nothing of significance.
just literally
Ever.
nothing. Yeah. In the play-in games, we were 3-1. In second round games, we're 3-4, and then in the quarterfinals, we're 0-3. So just any game that matters at all against like a kind of a toss-up type opponent, anything like that, we have lost. So, and then of course, the last decade is also horrible for what we've done in the NCAA tournament. So,
And this year with Tennessee, I mean, Tennessee neutral court, even without Ziegler, they're going to be favored by like 7, probably.
they'll be favored for sure. They'll be favored on Kim Pom and both by Vegas
yeah.
easily. So, I mean that's not a good matchup even without Ziegler. That's a pretty tough draw. Like, it doesn't feel very satisfying to get that double bye and have to face Tennessee right off the bat.
No, it doesn't. And I'm pretty sure last year, I would say that this year the SEC, obviously with Missouri doing what they're doing, what they've done, speaks to there being more parity. I guess maybe not isn't quite the right word, but it's almost like there's more like the top half and the bottom half of the league this year. More so, it seems like in past years there's more like the top 1 or 2 teams, then a chunk of 6 teams, then the bottom feeders.
Yeah, we actually like kind of came down to that last game or two there to figure out who the SEC champion was going to be.
Yeah, and like with Vanderbilt having a above 500 conference season, Arkansas not being as good as they were, but being as good as people expected, but being right there in that same number of wins area.
Yeah, super weird seasons for Texas A&M and Vanderbilt. Like both of those teams having like pretty awful almost like non-conference seasons and then just doing really well in SEC play. I don't know if that like says something about the SEC or if both of those teams just kind of figured it out, but pretty bizarre lines for both of those teams.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess this is what happens when you have the bottom of the league. The bottom 3 teams in the league have a combined 9 wins in conference play.
That's true.
So that's just going to make everybody else's records look more impressive. So yeah, last year the 5 seed in the SEC tournament was 9-9 in conference play. So it definitely, as opposed to that being like a clear top 4, I feel like this year you have to go all the way to Mississippi State. I mean, everybody that's not in the play-in round can win multiple games in this tournament.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I mean, the path to Missouri winning the tournament is really tough. I mean, they'd have to beat Tennessee, then Alabama, and then you'd probably play Kentucky or A&M in the finals. Like, there's not a super easy matchup at all.
Yeah. I'd rather play Kentucky than A&M for sure. Yeah, so realistically, what are our expectations here? I mean, without Ziegler, I think Missouri can beat Tennessee.
Yeah. I
would say if I had to make a prediction on this game,
if you had money riding on it,
I would never put any money on it, first of all.
If your life depended on it.
If my life depended on it.
That's easier, right? That's less pressure.
Yeah, but that's less pressure because I would just all day pick against Mizzou if my life depended on it. Especially with what you just read.
Yeah.
I mean, talk me out of it.
I mean, we're getting on borderline like curse territory here.
So we're due. You could say.
Yeah.
We're due for a win.
That's how a curse works. Yeah.
Well,
if you break it.
Yeah.
We don't know if
curses are meant to be broken.
Is that what the saying is?
I think so.
Yeah,
I've heard that.
Okay.
Rules
are meant to be broken?
And curses.
Okay.
Okay, so talk me into a Mizzou win here. Give me something to build my confidence a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's just got to be how we did it the first time around. I mean, we beat Tennessee on their own floor when they had Ziegler. And coming into that game, I thought I thought we might get destroyed. They do everything well that exploits us. Typically, they rebound well. They have the number 1 rated defense in the country on pretty much every metric that you look at. And they, sometimes they have the potential to go on droughts on offense, but for the most part, they're pretty well rounded everywhere. They do everything well. So going into that Tennessee game, I was like, this is not going to go well, and it did, because Missouri shot really, really well, and so they're going to have to do that again, because this is basically this is still the same Tennessee team for the most part. They're still going to play incredible defense, and I think this game will probably be a lot lower scoring around than the first time. Tennessee probably hasn't had very many games this year where they both teams have scored in the 80s. Yeah. That's extremely rare for them.
Yeah.
So I think Missouri is a really good team legitimately. I think they deserve to be where they're at, but I also wonder how much of an outlier performance that they had against Tennessee when they played earlier this season. Yeah, I mean, they had a stretch in that first half against Tennessee where they were just making shot after shot where I was almost laughing out loud. It was just incredible what they were doing.
Missouri from 3 in that game, 14 of 26. That's 54%.
I mean, that might be what it's going to take, unfortunately. Like a 40% plus 3-point shooting performance.
Which they're capable of.
Yeah, they can do that. And we playing on a chip. They're going to be playing with a chip on their shoulders because of they got snubbed for all those accolades.
True. Yeah.
Including their coach.
Yep. We need some kind of storyline there. Yeah, it's like, lean into that. We're the 4 seed. We're the better
we're favored
seed. Here. And everybody's counting us out, including the Missouri Sports Podcast. Just kidding.
We haven't got there yet.
Yeah. Go ahead then. Take us there.
You want me to make a prediction?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think Missouri will win the game.
Okay.
I think it's gonna, like I said, it'll be a little uglier than last time as far as the offensive explosion. I don't think we'll be there quite as much, but I think Missouri's gonna pull it out 72-68. As long as they're that 70 threshold, I think we fine.
Are we still undefeated scoring 70 or more?
Yes.
Yes, according to the research department.
Okay. Surely
we're like, what is it, 7-0 or something like that, and games decided by 5 or fewer points.
Correct. Yeah.
We're due.
Oh. I mean, yeah. I just feel like Missouri just doesn't end up in the semifinals of the SEC tournament.
It's just not supposed to happen.
Yeah. So I'm thinking.
Look at you over there drinking a orange cup.
Oh, man.
Oh, my gosh.
I cursed us.
I've seen worse.
That's true.
He's going to pick Tennessee right after he drinks out of his orange cup.
I think Missouri loses this game. I hope I'm wrong. I think Missouri loses 72-68.
Okay. We'll remember that, Cameron.
I don't want it to happen.
Oh, okay.
How does that work? You just have to pick wins always?
Yeah.
Oh. You should have told me that before. Okay, so let's look at a little what if situations here for the NCAA tournament. Right now, Missouri. Well, okay, so how far? I'm counting Missouri out. I'm one of the reasons Missouri's going to have a chip on their shoulder. Now, if they beat Tennessee, they would probably play. They're almost definitely going to play Alabama. Does the second time around versus Alabama feel good to you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're going to beat Alabama as well if we play them. They haven't even been playing that well.
True. They lost to A&M, right? A&M got to be kicking themselves that wasn't for the regular season.
Yeah. They went to overtime with South Carolina.
True. Okay, so
Auburn took them to the wire.
Missouri beats Alabama, then that's the hardest part right there. Except
then they'll lose to A&M.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that sounds fantastic.
I'd take it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Play on Sunday. Play on Selection Sunday. Sounds fun. I don't know what that's like.
No. The Big 12
Saturday night.
was always Saturday, yeah. Got to do that a couple times.
Yeah, we want to play on Sundays.
Yeah. Okay, so let's try to figure out what does this all mean for the NCAA tournament. Right now, what are we looking at? You said you feel like we're on the 6-7 line right now?
I do, because I think that I don't know anything really, but if I had to guess, I think the committee they're going to weigh who have you beat, who have you lost to, heavier than the analytics, which is still, of course, a very viable piece of the puzzle and will be considered. But I think Missouri's resume is up there with teams that are a seed line or two above where they're going on, like bracket matrix and stuff like that.
Okay.
If the season ends today, I'd probably just say 7 seed.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was feeling like we're looking. I feel like we're on the 7-8 line if the season ends today, but I like us being a 7 seed if I was predicting.
Yeah.
Most recently, ESPN has us a 8 seed, CBS a 6 seed. Bracket Matrix, you mentioned, has us as the last 7 seed right now. Interestingly, the worst brackets or the worst seeds that they have for us is the 9. A couple outlets have the 9. One outlet has us as a 5 seed right now.
There is one bracket. I keep really struggling with that word.
Bracket Matrix.
Yes, so that has like 99 outlets that it pulls from, and some of which they don't look very credible. I went to their sites, and one of these like kind of crappy little sites has us as an 11 seed.
Ooh.
And
I think they've updated.
have they updated?
I think
I
so.
looked at it like 2 days ago.
Yeah, I think yesterday. I don't think they.
That's probably what bumped us up from an 8 to a 7.
Yeah.
That one
just
singular site.
One site going from a 11 to a 9.
I called them out.
Yeah. You have to sometimes.
Yeah.
Wake people up.
Yeah. You can't be doing that.
Okay, so I'm trying to figure out here what's like the best case scenario is like what you lined up within reason. We beat Tennessee, we beat Alabama.
Yeah, just win a game or two.
Lose to A&M, and that would, I feel like we'd be jumping up to like the 5-6 line.
It's possible.
I would feel really good about a 6 seed in that situation.
Yeah, honestly, I think 6 might be the most ideal situation, because typically as a 6 seed, obviously you're playing the 11 seed, and I feel like those 11 seeds are kind of like Power 5 teams that are super lukewarm, and they're kind of the last 4 in type teams. I think a lot of times why the 5 seeds struggle so much with 12 seeds is because it's almost like the 12 is like that next, like the first tier of like mid-major teams that are really good.
Yeah.
So you like this year, the 12 seeds, you're probably going to run into Oral Roberts, which is like they're super talented. They shoot lights out. They've been in the tournament before with some of these same guys that have made a tournament run. Like there are some pretty dangerous teams out there that will probably be 12 seeds. And so sometimes I think they pack a punch a little bit more than some of those like 11 seeds that are kind of just like double-digit loss.
The 12s are like the best mid-majors but they have to win they're the best automatic qualifiers that wouldn't get an at-large bid.
Usually, yeah.
So, yeah, that's an interesting dynamic. And then the 11s, like you mentioned, and I feel like that ends up being like the 11 seeds either just like don't show up for their first round game or like go to the Elite 8.
Exactly. Yeah, we've seen that actually happen a few times in the last few years where like the play-in game teams as 11 seeds like make it really far for some reason.
Which I'm definitely in favor of the play-in games always being at-large teams. It kind of sits wrong for me that
those like 16
the
seeds.
16 seeds win their conference tournament and still have to be in a play-in game.
And don't get to be destroyed by Purdue or somebody.
Yeah, like that's part of it. You win your conference tournament, you get to play against a 1 seed.
Exactly.
Maybe the eventual national champion or somebody.
I agree. Pull a UMBC.
Yeah. I'm hoping for one of those this year. One specific
Oh, yeah.
one.
Who's that?
I just really want Purdue to lose in the first round. This year,
Me too.
Yeah, we don't need to get too much deeper into the NCAA tournament. We're going to have another week to get our thoughts together on all of that. But
last week before Selection Sunday, though.
Selection Sunday.
That's this Sunday.
You're right. Yeah, but once we get
any other hot takes you have about seeding, you got to get it in.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, what do you think about the fact that Missouri is 7-0 in games decided by 5 points or fewer? Like, I feel like that's something that could be used to make the argument that Missouri's gotten a bit lucky and they should have dropped one of these non-quadrant one games that they barely pulled out. So that's like, yeah, their record is better. The argument is their record is better than it should be. Mm-hmm. And just look at those close games and you see they're 7-0. That's very unusual.
Yeah, they've been playing with fire for sure. And a couple of those games were even like back in the non-conference probably, where they had a couple close games and stuff. So
Wichita State and UCF.
Mm-hmm. And they got some super easy wins in the non-conference game. I mean, we're talking like 300 plus KenPom teams. So, but like we've talked about how that's understandable for a first-year coach and everything like that. But when you're talking about resume, it's understandable that, you know, a 23-win team, that looks pretty nice with single-digit losses. But, you know, there's a little fluff there. That's fine.
Yeah.
But they did everything they had to do, though. They never stumbled. They don't have a single loss outside of quad one.
Okay, so let me play devil's advocate a little bit on that point. No losses outside of quadrant one, but you could argue, regardless of what is considered like a computer or the bracket system has us with 0 bad losses. Mm-hmm. But a person looking through the resume and looking at some of these losses, like the Kansas game at home, I don't care if Kansas is number 1 in KenPom all season long, I would say that's a bad loss. Mm-hmm. Just because you got to be a little bit more competitive.
Yeah. The Auburn loss.
The Auburn loss is similar. The Alabama loss, same way. Those are just games that a team that, but now I feel like we're differentiating between a team that deserves to be in the tournament, which nobody's arguing Missouri doesn't deserve to be in the tournament, versus one that deserves a top 6-ish seed. Mm-hmm. Is a top 6 seed somebody that needs to be able to knock off a 1 or 2 seed? Not necessarily. So I don't know. I kind of go back and forth. I try to play devil's advocate a little bit and say that even though quadrant-wise they haven't dropped a bad loss, some of these margins of defeat are just kind of glaring.
And some other teams in that same range as them are not having those terrible losses.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. And also I would add that if we're going to kind of look between the lines a little bit on Missouri's net rankings and their KenPom rankings, like, and say, okay, there's no way Missouri's the 55th best team in the country, but you could probably play that game with some of the other teams Missouri's played too, where if those rankings might not be totally accurate, I guess. And so if you're going to just automatically, I guess you can't just assume that every ranking is correct in the other quadrants and stuff like that. So there's probably some teams that Missouri's played that are quadrant 1 games that maybe aren't exactly quadrant 1. Maybe they're weaker quadrant 1 games or something like that. I don't know that Missouri has any top 10 wins. I guess Tennessee would be their only top 10 win this season. So I don't know. It's kind of fascinating just to kind of like weigh the different all the different inputs that go into the resume and kind of comparing them to teams around them and how they're totally different. And yeah, there's just a lot that goes into it.
And I don't want to take it for granted. You never know.
Exactly.
We may not be able to do this next year.
Exactly. These are fun conversations.
So, yeah, Tennessee, Iowa State, Arkansas. I'm just looking at their KenPom ratings.
Yeah.
Those are the best 3. Then Kentucky, Illinois. Those are all top 30 teams in KenPom. There's 5 pretty solid wins right there.
Yeah.
I love that. I think you're right, though. The more we talk through it right now, I'm coming down on the side of going into this conversation, I kind of wanted to be like, I understand where the metrics have us. It all makes sense, and I'm not going to blame anybody.
And it does make sense.
Right. But I wouldn't have blamed anybody for like penciling us in as a 8 or 9, having us on the 8 or 9 line right now. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't have blamed anybody. But I think if you are really looking at all the information and you're seeing like, okay, what's the deal? It doesn't make any sense that Missouri's defense is ranked 197th on KenPom. What's going on here? And then you see that it's their style of play is just confusing to the computers.
Mm-hmm.
Like being so bad at a couple things and being really good at a couple things confuses it.
Yeah.
And
I actually choose to believe that the computers have become sentient and they hate us. And
there's an argument.
there's a real theory. Yeah.
Maybe, AI.
That's true.
Maybe Ken Pomeroy doesn't actually exist,
Oh my gosh.
and he's an AI.
His Twitter
bot.
picture is not like a real picture of him.
True.
Oh
We're
my
gonna
gosh.
have to do some investigative
The
journalism.
computers have come alive,
Yeah.
and we are on their bad side, which is not
Of course, classic
Of course,
Mizzou.
of course we are. But another reason that makes me think Missouri is going to be on the higher side than so than the lower side of the seeding is because I tend to think that the committee might be a little more old school in kind of looking at like their wins as far as their resume less than the KenPom rankings or just the analytics in general, because if they were looking at the analytics right now, I think Missouri projects as like a bubble team, and on most of the brackets they're safely in. They're actually ranked in the AP poll right now, which I think actually has maybe a little bit of a psychological bonus.
Hey, we'll take anything we can get.
We'll take anything we can get.
Like that.
So if Missouri can beat Tennessee, I think they've got a real shot to be on the 6th line, and we'll just see what happens.
Yeah, Missouri beating Tennessee, I think that would be recent enough. That would be impactful enough. I think that would be that would jump us a number.
Could.
I think.
If they beat Tennessee and lose in the next round, ranking wise, not seed wise, but in the rankings, where do you think they would end up?
Like on KenPom?
Or like the AP poll?
Yeah, the AP poll.
Probably
pretty similarly.
Yeah, they probably wouldn't
Still
move.
in the 20 to 25 range.
Yeah.
Depending on how they play against Alabama.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's always interesting to me because I feel like if you're 24 or higher in the rankings, you should probably be a 6 seed or higher, like based on where you are. But that's not always how it works out, obviously.
Yeah, if you want to do it like apples to apples, that's where they should probably fall.
Yeah, but then you look at the predictive analytics sites, and we're like around 60th,
right?
And then, it's bizarre.
Yeah,
I'd love to hear from Coach Gates about the discrepancy. There's just the strategy on defense and rebounding and stuff.
Like, how intentional is this?
Yeah, I want to hear him explain that a little bit. It's like, is this just you've just found yourself in this situation, or how much did you lean into this as a strategy?
Yeah,
it's got to be a conscious effort to some extent.
Yeah, I mean, it's just going to be fascinating though to see what they do with Missouri because of just the uniqueness of their profile, and it's just unlike any other profile or resume in the country, really, in my opinion.
I'm predicting Missouri Tigers 7 seed in the NCAA tournament.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'll probably say 7 as well, but it'll be interesting to see what they do with Arkansas, because I think Arkansas is like a perfect example of like the opposite scenario where they're ranked really high in the analytics, but their resume is not as strong or even really remotely as strong as Missouri. So it might just balance out, and they'll probably both be like 8 seeds or something. And
Arkansas beat San Diego State in the non-conference.
Congratulations.
And Oklahoma.
And they have 2 ranked wins, and one was San Diego State, one was Missouri. And that's it.
They play Auburn.
Yes.
So go Auburn.
Sure. Yeah.
I want Arkansas to be an 8 or 9 seed and be in a toss-up game and then get crushed by a 1 seed. Arkansas is a 8 seed. They win their first game. They play Kansas in the second round.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh gosh, you're not gonna really ask me who I'm rooting for.
No. We don't want to think about it.
Okay. Thank God. I think if Arkansas loses to Auburn, I think they could fall to that 10-11 line.
Okay. If Arkansas is the only rival you're going to give us, we're just going to have to root for their downfall at every moment we can.
That's right.
All right. talked about a lot of stuff. I would
It's a little
surely.
easier to root against Arkansas's downfall than our other rival.
Yeah.
It make that difficult.
Yeah, you're not supposed to mention that part. But yeah, they'll let Kansas have a 1 seed and watch them get upset by.
Yeah, that would be really satisfying.
Yeah. I want them to lose to Oral Roberts.
Oh yeah.
I don't even know. That's like impossible. That would have
Basically.
to happen in like the Elite Eight.
Basically, yes.
All right. We forgetting anything here?
Mm-mm.
Let's go win a game or two.
Win a game.
Win a game in the SEC tournament for the first time in centuries.
Have you noticed people saying this century lately?
No.
I feel like on like sports talk stuff they've started using that. Like it's been long enough now. They're saying this century, referring to like
Since
from 2000 to now. And I just feel like it's a weird way to say that.
Yeah, just say since 2000.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyway.
I personally really like it.
Kyle's going to start using this the first time it's happened this century
This millennium.
to mean that. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like we're forgetting something, but I can't think of what it is. Are we forgetting to talk about anything? Okay.
There's nothing else.
Nothing else we could possibly talk about. All right, that's it. Special thank you to our Patreon supporters at the $10 level and above. Britt Treese, Brian Smith, Ryan Demore, Tristan, Ben Smith, Parker, Daddy JD, Tim Keynes, Tyler Harsel, Brandon Garofalo, Brandon Hanks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. You can find this podcast on Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. We are on Twitter at Mizzou Sports Pod, and you can email us at MissouriSportsPod@gmail.com.
You can find our t-shirts and stickers on our online shop, MissouriSportsPod.BigCartel.com.
I was going to say, like, with the 7-0 in games decided 5, having a team of older players,
Right.
experienced players that have been through it,
Exactly right.
maybe that gives you maybe 2 or 3 wins of that type.
I agree.
Thank you everyone for listening. We will see you next week. After a win.
Maybe a couple.